Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2017 book, The Trials of Apollo, The Dark Prophecy. This came out May 2017? May 2017, written by Rick Riordan, the second book in the Trials of Apollo book series. So we had Percy Jackson, we then had Kane Chronicles, we then had Heroes of Olympus, we then had Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. So this book takes place 6 weeks after the last book, The Hidden Oracle. And we know that the Hidden Oracle took place in the same exact time frame, January after the Giant War. And that takes place the same time that the first Magnus Chase book takes place. We know that Magnus Chase takes place 6 weeks after that first book. And we know that this book takes place 6 weeks after the first Trials of Apollo. So the second Magnus Chase and the second Trials of Apollo both take place at the same exact time in like March. So again, this is the American cover. We have Lester Papadopoulos, aka Apollo, riding Albatross the Griffin. We have Meg McCaffrey riding Heloise. We have some combat ostriches. Pretty cool cover. But in the UK edition, we have Leo riding Festus, breaking in and causing some problems, right? So, like, yeah, okay, I give it this. They were both equally cool, I will say that. But this is still, like, flashy cool, right? This is, like, nice, it's cute, it's a painting, great, but, like, this is flashy cool. Okay, so 6 weeks later, our heroes meet Leo Valdez and Calypso. Heroes, as in Lester, meets Leo Valdez and Calypso at the end of the first book. So they are then tasked to travel west. They have to go to the Midwest. Meg McCaffrey is still with Emperor Nero at this point, revealing that she is a double agent, kind of. And so Calypso, Leo, and Lester, Apollo, are all traveling to Indianapolis, Indiana, basically. This book takes place in Indianapolis, Indiana, the entire 401 pages, and it's surrounding suburbs and it's surrounding caves and stuff, right? So this is now a matter of finding the cave of Trophonius to see what that oracle needs to say. Meg comes into the fray as well. Our heroes all crash land kind of at a place called the Way Station in Indianapolis, which is like a wayward place for like lost heroes who like need a place to stay, and like they could stay for an hour or a lifetime, whatever they want. And it's run by Emmy and Josie, who are this beautiful elder couple. They have an adoptive daughter, Georgina, who is currently missing. So it's a matter of Lester and Apollo and Calypso both are magicless, so they need to regain their godly powers, kind of, even though she's technically a titaness, but their magic is gone, they're mortal. And Leo and Festus are like trying to, well, Festus is like a briefcase for most of the beginning of the book, but Leo is trying to figure out his place in all this as well, because he can still do his fire stuff, but like Lester and Calypso can't rely on Leo to like save the day all the time, because he's only a demigod. She is a titaness and he is technically a god. So how do we figure these things out? So we figure out that Emperor Commodus is the emperor of the Midwest, right? He's running Indianapolis. He wants to change the title to Commodianapolis. He's like fighting off all these like creatures, and not really fighting, but like he's how do I explain it? He has all his minions, right? And it turns out that Commodus and Apollo had a thing back in the day, and then Apollo disguised himself as Narcissus, a personal trainer of Commodus, who is training him, but then like murdered him back in the day. And how Emperor Nero explained it is that the emperors are back because of the way the gods are always been around, is that through mortal appreciation and mortal patriotism, stuff like that. So we didn't actually go over Nero dying in the first book, but we go over Commodus dying in this book. So it's just a matter of they came back to life because they kept being praised, which is interesting because they were hated very much in their time. So it's funny how things change. Commodus has also enlisted Laertius. Laertius we last saw as the son of King Midas fighting Piper Leo and Jason Grace in Kansas, I think. He'd wearing a Cornhusker shirt. Last time we actually saw him, he was turned to gold. So, like, Commodus and his crew got him back. They were perfectly fine. But then, like, you know, Laertius is working for a new overlord and, like, wants to kill. And then eventually he's kind of betrayed by that new overlord, and then like kind of joins Apollo and their crew in a weird gray transition area. And then at the end, he is, you know, at the way station in a very much antagonist to protagonist kind of thing, but very much like how we see Fire Lord Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender go from antagonist to protagonist, that kind of thing. That's how we see Lit transform into that. Meg coming back to, you know, help and get these prophecies going. We get more prophecies from this oracle. We close some chapters. You know, we save the creatures and the captives and the hostages, Georgina being one of them. We have this chair of Messamine or something like that, that someone who is just cursed with the prophecy of this oracle has to sit on it to then translate this thing. So when Meg finally and Apollo get out of the cave and destroy the cave and fight the Blemni and all these different things, right? Everyone's doing their own stuff. The Artemis Hunters of Artemis, Talia Grace is leading charge at the way station. There's battles everywhere over in Indianapolis, right? Meg is put on this chair to spit out the new prophecy, this dark prophecy. So we finally get the dark prophecy, but it turns out to be a sonnet. It's not actually just a standard 4-lined prophecy. It's a full 3-stanzas sonnet with a little thing at the end. We had a line work before, like all these things, right? So we get it. Now we need to get into the labyrinth, and we need a satyr to bring us into the labyrinth. And Leo and Calypso decide that they want to stay at the way station and try to live a normal mortal life and just go to high school and just do their thing, right? So it turns out Leo has to go to the West Coast to warn Camp Jupiter of the Emperor crap that's going on, that's coming to them. Apollo and Meg have to go through the labyrinth to find more clues, to do more things within 5 days before the new crescent moon. And Meg summons Grover from asleep in Palm Springs. She brings him to Indianapolis through dirt because she's the daughter of Demeter, so she can do whatever she wants. And it's just so cool having all these things together. It's very interesting because it is very similar to the first book in the Trials of Apollo series. We had Apollo, Meg, Percy, everybody doing their own things in Manhattan on Long Island. That was it. This book takes place in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the little surrounding parts of it. That's it. So what happens next? Where does the labyrinth take all of our friends and heroes? What happens on the West Coast? What happens on the East Coast? What happens at Camp Jupiter? What happens at Camp Half-Blood? All of these things. I have reviewed book 3, 4, and 5, so we have talked about it. So that concludes our Trials of Apollo conversations. Thus concludes our Rick Riordan books conversation. Percy Jackson, King Chronicles, Heroes of Olympus, Magnus Chase, Trials of Apollo. We've done them. We've done them all. I myself am going to read the other 3 books. I'm going to read book 3, 4, and 5 just to refresh my memory, to get myself all good and caught up. Then we're going to jump back into the Reed Riordan Presents books, followed by the newest Aru Shah book. That's the first one we're going to read and discuss after I finish reading the last 3 books of the Trials of Apollo. I think that's it. I mean, there's really not that much else to talk about this book. You know, a lot of stuff happens. A lot of prophetic stuff happens. Like, it's only in Indianapolis. That's it. That's it. It's great. And having Lit back on the team, it's pretty cool. I love Lit Xerxes. I love Lit Xerxes. I do. I love his description. I love his character development. I'm a sucker for character development. We've talked about that numerous times. Give me good character development, I'm hooked. Laterces is awesome. Yeah. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.